Hey, Daniel. So I guess going off of that, do you find that one particular kind of offshore jurisdiction is easier or harder to move to the U.S. than another? Like, have you kind of looked at kind of the different countries that these trusts are set up at, or maybe like even like trustee companies that you've worked with? I mean, maybe you don't have to disclose them, but are larger trustee companies typically more willing to make the change, or maybe smaller ones? Kind of what's your experience with that, and how should kind of families go about, maybe even before reaching out to an attorney, just thinking about how easy or hard it is for them to kind of shift jurisdictions?
That's a really good question, and I'm not going to be able to provide too much helpful guidance on that because and I've given this a lot of thought, and even went back and sort of looked at, over the years, the various migrations that we've been involved in and moving offshore trusts in and the different jurisdictions. And if I've done 100 of these, just to use a round number, I've seen 100 different scenarios play out.
Yeah.
I haven't noticed a correlation, between how easy it is to complete the onshoring of these trusts, depending on whether it's a small or larger offshore trust company, or even depending on which offshore jurisdiction that it is. I would say, if I could provide maybe, one generality that I've seen, it's that the more what I'll call popular offshore jurisdictions, like the Cayman Islands, BVI, Jersey, maybe one or two others, the Bahamas, in general, because I think the trustees in those jurisdictions have more commonly dealt with trusts moving out of those jurisdictions to the United States, things tend to maybe go a little bit more smoothly with those jurisdictions than if we're dealing with jurisdictions where maybe they simply just don't have a lot of trust business, and so consequently they don't have a lot of experience moving trusts out of their jurisdiction into the United States, or dealing with Delaware trustees. So what I have found with some of those jurisdictions, like Cayman, BVI, is that the speed at which it happens often will depend on how well the offshore trustee and the Delaware trustee communicate with one another.
Mm-hmm.
And the jurisdictions where they have more experience doing that, it tends to move a little bit more quickly, just because they've gone through that process many times in the past. Whereas, some other jurisdictions that they just might not have the experience of dealing with the Delaware trustee and what the process is for moving the trust. And that I will say can be a major headache sometimes, because certain things that are done in offshore jurisdictions when you're changing trustees is different than what we would traditionally do in the United States if you were moving from one trustee to another. And that can slow things up.
OK， 刚才 Daniel 讲的我觉得还蛮重要的，这个就是说就是这些离岸信托真正要搬进美国信托它的难易度是怎么样子去抓。他说很大一个重点是旧的受托公司跟新的受托公司的沟通这样子，还有中间的可能一些律师跟会计师去帮忙这些沟通的过程的顺序这样子。那他的说法，他也有特别提到说，他觉得虽然每家受托公司操作流程都不太一样，但是最有经验去从离岸搬到美国信托的国家，就是他觉得说，就是这些受托人都很有经验，就是从他们的受托公司搬到就是迁移这些信托到美国的，他认为是类似 BVI 的信托，或是 Cayman 的信托。Jersey 的信托，还是就是 Bahamas 的信托，他觉得这4个 jurisdiction 的离岸信托的受托公司大部分都会有把信托迁移到美国 的相关经验这样子，那这里可能也会让流程稍微简单一点。那其他的离岸信托的所在地可能就不一定会速度能迁移的这么快这样子。那他也是说，可能也是看受托公司对这些信托的把握度是怎么样。如果他们可能比较不愿意去放开这些信托去迁移到美国的话，可能也会有相关的困难。只是如果他们有做过，他们可能会比较有经验，所以他们可能就比较不会那么的反抗这个迁移的过程中这样子。
这个在等一下的实际例子里面，我们就会去解释一下两边从境外的受托公司到美国的受托公司之间的一个搭配。